What's up, Totem Pole Nation, and welcome back to another episode of Lambo and Matt's World of Sports. Today we are diving into the NFC North. That battle is getting a little bit tighter. Things are getting a little shaken up, so we'll get into that, as well as our reaction to the whooping put on the Eagles last night by the Dallas Cowboys. All of that coming at you with Sideline Sports Network. Thank you, as always, for the platform. Now, if you want some gear, like that cool hat Lambo's got on, other hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, whatever you need, totempolenation.com. That's in the ticker as well. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Sunday Night Football represents with another ass whooping of how about the Cowboys? Yes, how about the Cowboys? And I told people, I said, look, the Eagles have a great team. But when you get your ass whooped 42-19 and 33-13, you have some sickness and you have some diabetes. And I kept saying that defense is very, very suspect, especially in the first part of the game where you already gave up a touchdown. You gave a touchdown. I'm not talking about giving a touchdown because of a good offense. It was very easy. You couldn't stop CD Lamb. You couldn't stop what Dak Prescott was able to do. You couldn't stop their tight end. I mean, all you Eagles fans, I get it. I know I'm a Cowboys hater, but I'm realistic when it comes to this. You got your ass whooped. You should have lost the first time when you played the Cowboys. Okay, they made mental mistakes, but this Dallas Cowboys team at 10-3 leads the NFC North. Even though the Eagles had the same record, they beat them. They beat them once, obviously, but it does not matter. All right, the Cowboys are number one. I don't have much to say about this game. I was at the bar, and it wasn't worth watching after a 24-6 lead, obviously, because Jalen Hurts looked pathetic. The offense looked pathetic. Nick Sirianni, I mean, I don't know what he's doing. He should have just I don't know. He shaved. I don't know if that even worked either. But as far as the Eagles, they are frauds. I am not sure what they're going to do the next 4 games. Go ahead and rant and enjoy your Cowboys win. Go ahead and get started.
Well, so the first thing that I'm going to point out is that in that first game, I agree we should have won. We forced 3 fumbles in that game as well. The difference is the Eagles recovered all 3 of those. We got our turnovers in this game. We recovered those fumbles, 3 of them, just like the first game, except for this time we actually came away with it, and it really changed, just the vibe of the game. It felt like every time it happened, the Eagles were getting a little bit more defeated, and obviously there was less and less of a chance of them mounting a comeback. I was over the moon, obviously. I mean, I enjoyed every second of it, minus the strip sack that led to a touchdown for Jalen Carter. That's cool. That's the only touchdown that they scored all day, son. So now what I will say is that Dak is the MVP favorite when it comes to odds. He was surpassed Brock Purdy this week. Obviously, a lot of season left. Really tough road for Dallas coming up. But last night was an absolute just ass whooping. And I loved every single second of it. Dak, that's the thing. I kind of agree with what he said in his post-game press conference. He was like, I honestly didn't think I really played my best game. I'm frustrated with some things that happened. And if I did play my best game, we're putting 50 up on them. Now, obviously, this isn't the same defense that the Eagles had last year, but it's still a defense that has aided them in going 10-2 or 10-3 at this point. And, especially with Jalen's going into last night, 15 total turnovers already, and then he adds a fumble to it. That defense has to perform pretty well, for them to have as good of a record as they do. So for our team to go in there and just dismantle that defense, Dak was carving them up. The run game was going with Pollard and Dowdle. We saw all 4 receivers making plays. Ferguson as well. It was just, I don't know. It wasn't a masterclass because I do agree with what Dak said. He could have played a little bit better, but that was as close to it as you'll get when it comes to division rivalries. Games that are normally close, especially in this series with the Eagles and the Cowboys, those games are always close, and happily for me, they were not close this time.
All right, so both teams do sit at 10-3 right now with the Eagles 2-game losing streak. The Cowboys are been 6-1 in the last 7 games. Obviously, I'm gonna look at this Cowboys schedule. All right, you got the Bills on the road, the Dolphins on the road, the Lions at home, and then on the road against the Commanders. So 3 out of 4 games on the road. All right. Then for the Eagles, obviously, it's very, very easy for them a little bit. You got a Seahawks team, you got the Giants, you got the Cardinals, and of course you have the Giants again. Out of those 4 teams left, or out of those 4 games left being played, who wins the division? You go first. Who wins the division?
For the NFC East?
Yep.
Okay. So realistically, I'm going to say that the Eagles win the division. This is why I say that. Because both of us could, win out or whatever. But they're going to win based on the tiebreaker if we have the same record. So we currently have the same record, and if we do have it at the end, which I don't even know if we will, because we do have a much tougher ending stretch than the Eagles do. If we are tied, they get the tiebreaker because they would have beaten familiar opponents. They'd have a better record, I should say, against familiar opponents, or similar opponents, I should say. So I think, like, I have all the confidence in the world, right? So I think that we have every capability of beating the Bills, beating the Dolphins. Like, I don't really see that as too much of a worry. They are going to be really good games, don't get me wrong, but I do think that the Cowboys are a better team. So if they do both, and like you said, the Eagles' finishing schedule is bad. So if they both finish with the same record, they win the tiebreaker. I think that is the most realistic thing that happens. I don't really see them dropping games to, like, I know they are on somewhat of a, losing streak here with 2 in a row, and the team hasn't looked as great as it did last year and everything. But the ending of their schedule, they're just teams that are far below their level of football teams. So I do think that the Eagles finish the remainder of their schedule undefeated. They probably win the division.
Looking at this and my concerns for the Eagles, especially that secondary, I'm gonna go ahead and go for the Cowboys to win the division. Here's why I vote for the Cowboys to win the division. Cowboys offensively have succeeded. We've seen it. The defense, it's not the same without Trey Diggs, but they have shown and they have proved with Deron Bland and with Stephon Gilmore, a former All-Pro from the Patriots. He's shown he's not the same guy he was in 2019, but he's shown.
He was last night. He was last night.
No, I give him credit. He was last night. I give him credit. He's not the same guy, but he was last night. He's not the same player overall like he did in the 2019 season, but he showed he can still play. I have a lot of confidence in Dan Quinn, the way he's building up with the defensive wise. I think, despite Buffalo having an escape win against the Chiefs and all that, and we'll get into that next, here's my concerns for Buffalo. Will Von Miller play? Because he's still some allegations of, beating his wife and blah, 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 blah. If there's evidence that comes out this week, does he play? He's a big factor in that defense as well. Also, Tre'Davious White is already out for the season. They're missing a couple linebackers as well. And when it comes to the Dolphins, I don't trust the Dolphins to be a good team. I don't. They got Tyreek Hill. They got Tua. They got Jalen Waddle. They got Raheem Morrison, Devon Achane. They got Mike McDaniel with a great personality. I get that. I don't trust the Dolphins to be the good, legitimate teams. Why I did not have them in my top 5. The Lions. I am not sold on the damn Lions. What happened against the Bears? Not sold on them. I don't want to talk about them just yet. I'm not sold on that. And when it comes to the Commanders, Ron Rivera is on his last leg. I get that Eric Bieniemy is trying to revamp the new offense, but what type of Commanders team you're going to get? Now, I understand I say I predict the future, but when it comes to inconsistencies of these teams, I just named all the weaknesses. Now, if they happen to lose and don't win the division, I didn't lose any money and I didn't gain any money. But when it comes to the perspective of these teams that have weaknesses, the Bills have to show me something. The Dolphins and the Lions and the Commanders have to show. I don't think the Commanders will show me shit because they garbage. Sam Howell will give you about 3 interceptions and might be out the league. But when it comes to the Dolphins and the Bills defense concerns me. What type of Josh Allen you're going to get when it comes to that standpoint. And as far as the Dolphins, like I'm going to keep saying, can they beat good teams? Which I don't think they'll beat good teams. Other than that, that's it for Lambo and Matt's World of Sports.
NFC North. We got to talk about the NFC North.
I meant to put NFC East.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I fixed it on the YouTube. I already fixed it. It was NFC East. So, yeah, I fixed it. I said it wrong. I apologize. But this is it for Lambo Match for the Sports. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Next episode, we'll be talking about those Chiefs. Does Patrick Mahomes miss Tyreek Hill? What is going on with Kansas City and him yelling at the refs? Clearly, Kadarius Toney lined up all sides. If it wasn't, that would have been the greatest play that we ever seen in NFL history. But we'll talk about that next. Like, comment, subscribe to Total Pro Nation. We'll catch you.